Conservative Muslim belonging to different Islamic states in general and conservative Pakistani clerics or champion of conservative ideology in particular have always used overseas Pakistanis for their own vested interest. That's why you can find a lot of saints and mystics, in the UK or the British Society extracting money allegedly from hardworking Pakistanis, or rather overseas Pakistanis who have been living in the UK for a very long time. But there are also some people who are trying to revive the concept of political Islam that has done a great harm to overseas Muslims living in Western world, with young people from Muslim families going all the way to Bosnia, to Syria, to Iraq to fight, and becoming quite radical, defying even their own parents. Now we have some more people who are trying to revive this political ideology in a disguised way. They do not openly say that, but they do want to revive the ideology of Maulana Maududi, that sought global hegemony, and that of Dr. Israr and other conservative scholars. Their ideology is very close to that of Maulana Qutub or Ikhwanul Muslimin, and they are quite active. One of the characters is Sahil Adeem, who has been emotionalizing youths in Pakistan, resorting to all sort of lies and distortion of history to attract the attention of people. Naturally, in Pakistan, nobody can change it. But he came to the UK as well, visiting Bradford, London, and Newcastle. So in Newcastle, he's, according to his own claim, has given a sort of a complete roadmap. But in reality, the British Muslim who are really hardworking people, most of them have come to the country to support their families financially, to become financially independent and help their families living in Pakistan. Many of them have been taxi drivers, bus drivers, working in small businesses, working day and night, and in the beginning going to the extent of working 12 hours, 16 hours. So their hard earned money should not be taken away by those who first give a lecture on political Islam, then they establish some sort of institute, then they urge overseas Muslim parents to somehow get their kids registered to these schools. So let us first know the people of Newcastle, the British Muslim need to know who is this guy Sahil Adeem. Basically, he's the son of a famous poet, Adeem Hashmi, who, according to some critic, was quite different from the sort of fundamentalist or conservative ideology of Sahil Adeem. Let's first discuss his outright lies so that you could understand this person. He has been accused of bragging about different things. He has been accused of lying, resorting to outright lies. Let's begin. Let's begin with his claims that Maulana Shaf Ali Thanvi wrote 1400 books, with each carrying 4 to 5 volumes, consisting of 300, 400 pages. That is more than like 500,000 pages, or maybe if you count, it might be close to million. Bertrand Russell, who was very prolific, Ibn Khaldun, who has written very thick books as well, and Ibn Sina and other philosophers. Even Maulana Maududi was very prolific writer. Even they did not hit that number of 1400 or maybe 1 million pages. So that is an outright lie. You can check it. There is no evidence that Ashraf Ali Thanvi wrote 1400 books, with each carrying 4 to 5 volumes and with each consisting of 400 to 100 pages. Then in London, recently, he talked about the Council of Nicaea. And he said that it was held in 285 AD. In reality, it was held in 325. And, uh, and he said that 400 years after the Council of Nicaea, which according to him was held in 285, Muhammad peace be upon him was born. It means that Muhammad peace be upon him was born in 685 according to Sahil Adeem. And if we look at the actual date of the Nicaea meeting, that was 325. So, according to actual date, Muhammad peace be upon him may have been born than 725 if we go by the calculation of Sahil Adeem. So, this is completely ridiculous. Then he says that this council session or the meeting was meant to uh, impose secularism, where the emperor say give whatever is that of church and give whatever to that of the state. That is absolutely wrong. In fact, he was trying to refer to the famous saying of Christ: render to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. And that was the saying of Christ, which has been quoted in Matthew, Mark, and maybe in other parts of Bible. And this guy is trying to attribute it to a Roman emperor, which is absolutely historically wrong, or it is rather a lie. And then he said that this council was meant to impose, as I told you, that he said that the emperor said that church and the state are separate. The gist of his claim was. In reality, again, you can check it. Read any book of the history, maybe Toynbee, maybe Will Durant, any history book, or maybe even simple history book about Christianity, that will tell you that it was meant to sort out differences between Arian Christianity and Catholic Christianity. So, Arian Christianity, when it comes to the holiness of Christ, it has different concept, and that of Roman Catholic, they had different concept. Then he said that in Doha Agreement, the Afghan Taliban demanded the release of Afia Siddiqui, the Pakistani scientist who had been languishing in American jail. Again, you can read all four parts of Doha Agreement and let me know if you can find it. So I'm just trying to describe the sort of confidence with which he tells a lie, and he does not feel any remorse. He does not. It does not occur to him that somebody can check it, because he knows in Pakistan there is a personality cult trend. You can just fascinate people through your verbosity, and afterwards you can say whatever you want. Then, in one of his videos, which is also available on YouTube, he said that first he said that Hazrat Umar ruled over the world, which is historically incorrect. And then he said that 85% of world's inhabitants were under the rule of Hazrat Umar. Although the real empire builder, according to Bertrand Russell, was Hazrat Amir Mawiya, who ruled for 19 years, more than any caliph from the Rashidun. And Umayyad, I mean, during the time of Umayyad, uh, Muslim borders, or the borders of caliphates, were hitting Sindh on the one hand, and uh, Al Andalusia, or southern Spain, on the other hand. So he was the real empire builder. Again, Hazrat Umar was a great caliph, but to say that 85% of world's inhabitants were living under Hazrat Umar, that is absolutely lies. Even before the Industrial Revolution, 35% of the world was occupied by Western colonial powers, and by 1945, 85% of the world was occupied by Western colonial powers, as well as Japan and some other countries as well. So that is absolutely lie. It has no shade of reality. Then he said Mayan civilization disappeared within no time. I think he went to the extent of claiming 24 hours. Again, that is absolutely lie. It was a long process. There is no historical evidence for his claim. So these were some of his lies, and of course he talked about blasting of the sky in Germany, which was more or less a superstition. He also made bizarre claim like the speed of prayer is faster than the speed of light. He resorts to those rhetoric, but those rhetoric could be interpreted in different way, and he could find a way to get away with that. But when it comes to historical facts, he cannot do that. He really resorts to outright lies, and he never bothers to check facts because he knows in Pakistan you can say whatever you want. But he said some of these things in the UK and Australia and other places as well. So that's really very unfortunate. So we have to be aware of this guy, that this guy resorts to outright lies. And then you need to understand his ideology, that what type of his ideology, what does he want. For instance, if you look at his videos, you will draw a conclusion, or his speeches create an impression that he likes Afghan Taliban. In one of his videos, he said that Afghan Taliban have imposed Sharia. So Sharia means putting women, within four walls, not letting them work, not letting them get education, not letting them run their own business, not letting them become whatever they want. So the people of Newcastle, the uh, British Muslim of Newcastle, or British Muslim in general, need to decide whether that is the ideal government that he likes. Then, at one point, he said that he talked to the Afghan Taliban, asking them, "What is the age of marriage in your country, and why do you marry, people earlier?" So Afghan Taliban replied to Sahil Adeem that an Afghan child can understand Quran or Sharia at the age of 12, and he can issue fatwa or religious degree at the age of 16. Now you can yourself find how many. So if 12 is the age for the boys, what may be the age for the girls? How many 16-year-old muftis have you found in Afghanistan? In reality, Afghanistan is being run by barbaric Taliban who have shut down schools, who are not permitting girls to carry education beyond grade 6. They have already destroyed the future of the girls who wanted to be doctors, engineers, lawyers, or wanted to run businesses. And they are allowed to beg on the road. They are allowed to go around asking for charity, but they are not allowed to work. So this is the type of the government that perhaps he wants. So he said that Afghan Taliban have imposed Sharia as well. In one of his videos, he said that women should be covered from head to toe. Although there are so many differences and so many interpretations, with some Muslim thinkers believing that it was an order for the wives of Prophet, because they could not remarry. They could they had different rights, but for ordinary Muslim women, it is only the important part of bodies that have to be covered. So both opinions are there, and but he wants every woman to be in shuttlecock, covered from head to toe. It means sort of Jamaat Islami, sort of Tablighi Jamaat, sort of the ideology that was imposed by Daesh in Syria, or sort of the ideology that is liked by Al Qaeda and other terrorist organization. And then he went to the extent of saying that girls can be married at the age of 4. Consummation may take place later on, that's what he said. But there is a video on that. He was responding to a question of Shahzad Ghayas, one of the YouTubers, who asked him and grilled him and asked him. And he said, "Yeah, girls can be married." Now, the question is that if girls can be married at the age of 4, where is their consent? And these are the thoughts that, in fact, amount to defaming Islam, especially in Western world. The far right will pick, look, people like Sahil Adeem are saying that a 4-year girl can be married. This is what Muslim uh, need to be aware of. That this is the type of ideology that this guy has. He believes that girls can be married at the age of 4. Consummation might take place. He defended underage marriage. Why there are other Muslim writers, thinkers, Javed Ahmed Ghamdi, there is a writer, Nilofer Sahiba, she has written an article for Dawn arguing that at the time of marriage, Hazrat Aisha was 19, and she also cited the age of her sister Asma, and Hassan Ilyas Saab has also spoken on that. But Sahil Adeem wants only his interpretation of religion to be accepted, which is very close to that of Dr. Israr, Maulana Maududi, and all that. And multiple times he has said that he likes Maulana Maududi. He seems to be doting on people like Dr. Israr. So he is from conservative circle. Now, do not forget that Dr. Israr was the guy who said that Afghan Mujahideen, he declared Afghan jihad to be the greatest jihad. Now it's very clear that it was not jihad at all. Basically, it was a sort of a race between the Soviet Union and the United States. There have been a number of American officials who believed that they wanted to fight in Afghanistan because they wanted to settle the scores of Vietnam. They lost in Vietnam, and in Vietnam, it was the Soviet Union that was supporting the Viet Cong or the communists against America, and then America supported Afghan Mujahideen in Afghanistan to settle a score with Afghanistan. Brzezinski, a former Secretary of State, has said that the United States had already um, giving had already started giving training to Afghan militants 6 months prior to Soviet invasion. He said that the US wanted to create an impression that Washington is planning to do something in the Afghanistan so that the Soviet troops could be drawn into that country and then they could settle the score. There are so many documents now which can be read to that effect. But Dr. Israr, who is one of the icons of Sahil Adeem, he declared that jihad uh, the greatest jihad. Although there are videos you can even watch on internet with President Reagan receiving these fundamentalists in White House, and so it is an open secret that the United States supported fundamentalists like Gulbuddin Hikmatyar, Abdul Rasul Sayyaf, Yunus Khanuni, and other Afghan militants. And those militants were basically fighting because the government there banned child marriage. It tried to carry out land reforms. It established more than 22 higher education institutions. It tried to ensure participation of women in public life, and there are even today there are videos on the YouTube which you can see and watch the life of women in Afghanistan prior to this so-called Afghan jihad. And Maulana Maududi was the guy who was one of the biggest champions of political Islam. His party was very active during the Afghan Jihad. Interestingly, their kids did not go. They led very good life. It is asserted that Maulana Maududi's own kids, some of them at least, got settled in the United States, and many leaders of Jamaat Islami enjoyed a good life, lecturing poor kids to go and fight in Afghanistan while avoiding sending their own kids. Hardly just Maulana Jan Muhammad Abbasi's son is believed to have gone there and died. But most of the leaders of Jamaat Islami and their families, they enjoyed good life, while many poor people from Pakistan went to Afghanistan and fight. So why is it necessary to be aware of Sahil Adeem's ideology? Because this guy is trying to reintroduce, in a way, political Islam, the concept of global hegemony. This is a concept that more or less says that in Western countries, Muslims should try to impose Sharia in one way or another way, sooner or later, relegating Christians and Jews to the status of second class citizen, imposing jizya or tax on them. Muslims are hardly 6% of Europe's population. It may have risen. I'm talking about an old statistics. So if 6% population says that it wants to seek global hegemony, it wants to impose Sharia in Europe. So you could imagine what would be the reaction of local people in Europe. There is already hatred against Muslim in Europe, and some of the factors are, of course, the defense of underage marriages, the rhetoric about imposition of Sharia, relegating to Christian, Jews, and other non-Muslim to the status of second-class citizen, demolishing democracy. And this guy, Sahil Adeem, is also anti democracy. Even while talking to Delhi Hassan, he said that I'm against democracy. So, what is left then? Perhaps his thoughts are very close to that of fascist ideology. So, Jamaat Islami and Maulana Modudi that he idealizes, his party, especially his party's student wing, Islami Jamiyat Talba, it does more or less the same thing what Afghan Taliban do in Afghanistan. They do the same thing in Punjab University. If a boy and girls are sitting, even if they are talking, they might start beating them. They do not allow any musical concert to be convened there, any musical function. They do not want co-gathering and all these things. So he's the agent of a political Islam, and of course done this has done damage to British Muslims and Muslim living in Western world. We have seen that during the Islamic State's terrorist government in Syria and parts of Iraq, many Muslim from Western world went to that part of the country. Some of them now are still there because their own country did not accept them. Now, if this guy is again coming to, in a way, in a very, in a very sophisticated way, to make conservative or I do not want to say that word, so let's confine it to conservative. If he's trying to impose a conservative interpretation of religion on British Muslim or the Muslim in Newcastle, that is going to be very devastating. Far right forces are already rising all over Europe, and if people like Sahil Adeem are followed by Muslims in Newcastle or in the British society or in Western world, it is going to be very catastrophic for them. More hate will be there against Muslim, and more calls for mass deportation of Muslim will be made for the far right. So, therefore, it is important that we understand the machination of this guy. Then again, his critics believe that he has been going around the world to influence people in a way so that they might put their kids into his institute that he has opened, charging somewhere £40 to 150, $40 to $150. Now the question is that if he's really that much sincere, then why can't he take more than 25 million kids are out of school in Pakistan? None of them is a student of his institute that he has established because they cannot afford to pay $40 or $150, which is a very huge amount in Pakistan, especially for poor people. He does not want to take that. He heaps scorn on secularism. He himself is believed to be a Canadian citizen. And what happened after, converting many youth to conservatism or Islamic conservatism? If anything happens, he will run back to Canada. It's the ordinary Pakistani who will face the brunt of this extremism. So, therefore, uh, the Muslim of Newcastle, that of the UK, and the Muslim of the Western world should be aware of him, posing him tough question, questioning his conservative ideas that have, in a way, given an opportunity to far right forces to defame Islam, like the defense of underage marriage, putting women in shuttlecock or forcing them to cover from head to toe, stuff like that. So Sahil Adeem's speech in Newcastle was not a complete roadmap. It was a complete recipe for disaster. And Muslim of Newcastle should be aware of it.